Hey Mike, what's
Cool,
going on,
cool.
man?
Not much. I'm enjoying your killer clowns in the background. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, before I was kind of looking over here and I was like, I have probably all your films just to my left, so got
Oh,
a,
good. All right.
got a little bit of everything, man. And
Oh, much appreciated. That's
I
awesome.
I really enjoyed this film as well. You're listed as director, producer. First off, can you talk a little bit about your role and like I guess your roles really, and then how did you get involved with this project?
So, I had produced with another filmmaker, Axel Carolyn, a movie a few years back, Tales of Halloween for Epic Pictures, and I just like anthologies. I like watching them, and I like being a part of them, largely because it's kind of like like a band jam. You're getting different people to kind of get together and kind of bring their artistry to it, and you're kind of making a collective. Um, and and so that's always kind of interesting and exciting to me to kind of bring different voices to it. But thing is, there's tons of anthologies. We have the VHS films, we have the Mortuary Collection, we have Trick or Treat, Creep Show. We can go on for days, going back to the Amicus films and all sorts of things. So by this point, you better be bringing something different to the anthology genre, because it's been done, and just getting, oh, I got some of my friends together to make some horror movies is not enough of a reason to make it. It's not enough of a reason to appeal to people to come see it. So was really racking my brain on what to do for a moment, because it was like during the pandemic and stuff. We thought of doing a Tales of Quarantine, where filmmakers would do stuff in quarantine or whatever, but we couldn't get that out in time for Halloween. And so one day, my friend Alejandro Bruguez, who I worked with on Nightmare Cinema, he's like, when are we making Satanic Hispanics, the all Latino horror anthology? And he was kidding, but it was just completely like, fuck, when are we making Satanic Hispanics all Latino horror anthology? It was just logical. It was just like, duh, that's it. And it really just clicked like that. And then it went back to Patrick at Epic Pictures and said, hey, here's what we want to do. We want to do, kind of a grindhousey, cool action horror comedy, anthology with just some of our favorite Latino filmmakers that has a different point of view. It's not going to be your typical monsters. We're going to focus on monsters we don't know about. We know the Chupacabra, we know La Llorona, but every country has its own myths, its own legends, its whole thing. So let's focus on telling those stories, telling stories that are different Latin stories, that are not cartel stories, that aren't crossing the border stories. Let's not try to shove an agenda down people's throat and just make a really fucking entertaining horror movie that is Latin themed. And so we did. It's really a short list, to be honest, because now, first off, you're making a horror anthology, right? So there could be hundreds of directors to that. Okay, you're making an all Latino horror anthology. Okay, that list goes shorter. Okay, we're making an independent, low budget horror and all Latino anthology. Okay, well, there goes your Guillermo del Toro, there goes your Alfonso Cuarón, there goes your Isa Lopez's, and all those people. So it's like, okay, who are you going to find that is passionate and is doing this for the love of cinema and makes cool shit? So thankfully, Alejandro was already on board. I love Juan of the Dead. I really loved working with him on Nightmare Cinema. His segment, The Thing in the Woods, is just really clever and fun. I've just since then realized, like, no, he's really brilliant. He's really got an interesting mind. Gigi Guerrero, when I saw her short El Gigante, which is part of this, I think you can find it on Shudder, but it's also was part of a movie called Mexico Barbaro, and that was this kind of mix between Mexican wrestling and Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And I was like, fuck, I would love to have that in our film. That would be cool. And then, Ed Sanchez was a friend of Alejandro's, and he had worked with him in the past. And of course, we all have mad respect for Blair Witch Project, and I even like, a lot of his, independent films, Lovely Molly, Altered, and stuff like that. And he's been killing it on TV with Yellow Jackets
Yeah.
and Star Trek, New World and stuff like that. So we were super happy to have him on board. And then that kind of left one other, and we just love the movie Terrified. I think the movie Terrified is fucking badass. And we didn't know Demian super well. So, he knew Alejandro a little bit, but basically it's this group of strangers kind of going, hey, we got this movie that we want to do. You just a chunk of money, can you make another short that would fit in Terrified? And thankfully everybody said yes, and the Satanic Hispanics were formed, and off and away we went. So
Is, with your particular segment, is there kind of an added pressure, like, or maybe how do you approach kind of opening and closing the project?
Well, there's a massive pressure, I would say, and thankfully, it was the blind enthusiasm of the movie getting greenlit and us doing it that didn't make me think about that pressure till I was in the editing room. Because I say that Alejandro gives me shit about it, but I feel it's true. That if that wraparound fails, this is the whole framework of the whole movie. This is what's carrying the audience through. If it sucks, I think I've let everybody down. I've let the production company down. I've let the other filmmakers down. I've let the audience down. And it wasn't until I was in the editing room that I kind of realized, did I write like a 26-page short that is 90% people sitting at a table? Yes, I did. I did that. Why did I do that? And it was, there was a moment that was really scary. That was really like, fuck, if this sucks, I'm in trouble. So a lot of pressure again, and thankfully I was just too excited and blind to see it at first. But a lot of pressure came in the editing room, and then thankfully, I showed it to Alejandro. He liked it, and we started showing it to the others. They liked it, and then thankfully we won Best Director at Fantastic Fest, and the reviews have been pretty good. So I think we're okay. I think we're all right. I don't think I let everybody down, thankfully. So that was a huge relief. So
Awesome.
but
Yeah.
yeah, no, there's definitely pressure. Yeah. So, and the other thing is that, being the wraparound, you have a little bit of a responsibility. You're not free to do whatever you want to do. It's like your obligation is to make the movie as a whole as entertaining as possible, to support the other filmmakers, to give them a good intro and a good outro, to make all the parts that aren't them entertaining, and hopefully have it all pay off to something that makes the whole thing feel worthwhile. So yeah, it's scary. I'm happy I didn't think about that when I said yes to it. But I'll keep that in mind for the next one, should there be a next one.
Can you talk a little bit about that process, like of kind of making those pieces work? Was that something you learned from like Tales of Halloween, or was that just something you kind of do naturally working with multiple directors and things to make the pieces fit?
Well, it's a little bit of both. I mean, my day job is I edit, so I edit for other filmmakers, and so it's constantly a learning process, which is wonderful because everybody's got a different style and everyone has a different approach to it. So you kind of learn how different people work, but the whole cohesive and the whole kind of like semblance of it, so much of it, honestly, so much of it is just faith that you pick the right filmmakers. My logic was like, not only hopefully they're an actual friend and hopefully a good people, but Tales of Halloween was like my close friends, right? That was
Yeah.
everybody I know, and like that, those were my buddies. So it was different. Now it's like, okay, we're kind of reaching out of my friend circle, and just trying to find like-minded filmmakers. But it was just on the belief that it's just like, if Gigi can pull off another El Gigante, if Demian could do something on the level of Terrified, this would be really cool. We chose these filmmakers because we wanted to see them. Like, it wasn't like, oh, it's easy, we'll ask him. It was just like, no, I want to see what they can do. I want to see what they can bring to it. And so, I really, if it all works, it is just luck, the luck that we had the good taste and sense to pick the right filmmakers, so.
Speaking of your close friends, and this is a question I kind of always been curious about as far as you're concerned. Can you talk a little bit about Greg Grunberg? Like, is he like your kind of like Bruce Campbell? Like, what's your
Sort of.
relationship? And how did you guys get started working together?
Well, it started with Big Ass Spider. We
Yeah.
needed we needed somebody who really could bring the comedy and do something different. Wasn't like by any means anyone that I naturally thought like, oh, Greg Grunberg's perfect. In fact, the script when it was originally written, he was kind of more a Jack Burton type, kind of more a Kurt Russell schmuck or whatever, and it wasn't physically Greg at all, but Greg is just so likable and he's so funny and he's so charming that you just like him. And part of the thing is like, that's so dull. Like in the very original script, there was a lot of rewrites to it was Mega Spider at the time before it was Big Ass Spider. That he was kind of a ladies man and he was kind of picking up chicks as he went. And I'm like, I don't relate to that guy. That's not my experience. I would like the guy who's kind of maybe out of shape, who tries to get the girl and usually doesn't. That I can relate to. So he kind of took on that persona. It was great. He was just so charming, and he introduced me to Lombardo Boyar, who's kind of the backbone of Big Ass Spider. And then from there, we just kind of have a nice relationship and supportive, and have been friends. He came out and played on Tales of Halloween, not my segment, but he actually played the same character from Big Ass Spider. And we have another project. I don't know if it'll ever get made. I hope so, but we have this crazy project called Ninjas versus Zombies that I kind of wrote a part for him in there. Or specified it for him in there with the intent, but that has yet to happen. So when this came through, you need the most solid actors that and Greg is great, and you totally could buy him as a cop. Hell, he was an X-wing pilot. I could totally buy him as a cop in this. So he came in. I would say there was actually a funnier version of the movie, but I usually tend to do horror comedies, so I actually specifically tried to take the comedy out a little bit. There's still humor in there, but it was kind of more like, no, I kind of want to just tell the story as straight as I can be. I'm known for horror comedy. I would like to do something a little different. And so Greg was great to play ball, and I hope that I get to work with him again. And he's just always a joy. So
Excellent. Yeah, I love to hear that. Before we let you go, is there anything else you want to mention about Satanic Hispanics, maybe that we didn't talk about yet, or maybe the audience should know about?
Oh boy, let's see. And I hope I didn't say this before. Latinos are the biggest audience for horror movies, and we're rarely represented in the films. The cliche goes that the black guy always dies first, and we're like, yeah, well, hell, the Latino's not even in the movie. So we wanted to change that. We wanted to hey, if they're the biggest audience, why don't we make a movie that is geared for everybody, but has a slant that does appeal to them. And we just felt it was time. We felt like it's great that Blue Beetle exists and there's a Latino superhero, but it's a shame that it's like the 120th superhero film at the very tail end of all this stuff. They give us one. So I really, I don't know, was kind of a challenge and an honor to go back into my heritage, to give it a chance for other voices to really kind of stand up and showcase their work. So I'm very proud of the kind of collective that we brought together, and I like the movie, and I'm proud of it, and I hope that people dig it, and I hope that I would love it to continue. So
Yeah, something I've noticed within your films, you always have really strong female characters. And then when I saw you were attached to this, I thought it was really, really cool. Just a nice evolution of your catalog. There's always some sort of representation. You're known for like the B movie, but now you're kind of becoming this voice. And I think that that's really cool, man.
Oh, I appreciate that, man. I've been at it a long time, and I want out of this B movie box in the worst way. So I appreciate it greatly. So let's hope for bigger things, so we'll see.
Well, this is it. Here at CineDump, we let the doers know how they're doing. And Mike, you were doing just fine. Thank you so much for your time. And Satanic Hispanics is going to be available soon. Thank you, sir.
Awesome. Thank you so much.